Commissioners, hi, it's Jim Schimmer, Director of Economic Development and Planning. We will go ahead and make certain that our presentation is clipped a little bit. So, but we have a number of things I think that are really important, and we felt as a team that we wanted to convey those things to you as we looked in the new year. So, Ryan, why don't you start the presentation? We can go to the next slide here. And quite honestly, commissioners, I'm going to zip through these pretty quickly. You've seen the presentations over the years. You know what our mission statement is. But the key thing, again, is that we really want to focus on being the best county community planning and economic organization in the state of Ohio. And to do that, we want to increase our diversity and inclusion efforts to make certain that we are the best county community planning and economic development organization in the state. This is a map you've seen before. I don't need to go over it again. It is a complicated map, but we do a lot of things specifically in some areas, but also then just generally county-wide. And we have been dedicated to working with townships this year and some other organizations that we normally haven't had a close relationship with. This year has been a little different that way, and we are doing a better job of that. Ryan?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So I'm Ryan Schneider. I'm the Finance Administrator for Economic Development Planning. So our recommended budget for 2021 is $33,305,136. This budget is broken down by 4 segments: personal services, fringe benefits, materials and services, and our grants. You can see the breakdown by the pie chart here on the left. You can see there that the largest segment of our budget is for the grants our agency works on. The grants budget is comprised of our economic development grants, which are funded through the general fund, our community development grants, which are funded through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and our affordable and emergency housing grants that are funded by the conveyance fee. Additionally, our agency is budgeted to bring in $7,745,000 in revenue in 2021. Most of this revenue is from the reimbursements we receive from the Department of Housing and Urban Development and for our community development grants. We also bring in revenue from our building permits and our zoning fees, as well as repayments from the Franklin County Infrastructure Bank Loan Program.
Commissioners, this year obviously is a year that has been unlike any other, and it's reflected by the work that we did. We were asked to respond as an agency to some really unbelievable crisis that has changed so many things in our society today, and we did that. We worked hard to make certain that somewhere in the neighborhood of 45 resolutions were passed in a 4-month period. And these slides that you see in front of you just sort of illustrate where we put some of the money that the administration passed along to us. Contract establishment, the resolutions themselves, and the ongoing maintenance of those contracts are areas that we've really focused in on. Another thing is that we were really critical to, or it was very important for us to understand that we needed to do some things that we had been doing all along. And I will point to the YMCA, for example, partnering with the Community Shelter Board to serve over 400 residents at the West Long Street. Obviously, COVID increases those numbers and has increased those numbers. And it was important for us to not dismiss the idea that there are still homeless people that we have to be involved with and try to take care of as best we can. But you know these programs, you approved them all, and we were able to get them put in place, and we're pleased about that. Under the EDP's economic development goals, this is a wordy slide, and I will just tell you that I want to focus in on 3 things. To promote an equitable quality of life and place for all Franklin County residents, to play a role in lifting Franklin County residents out of poverty, and to help create an economic development environment where entrepreneurs of diverse backgrounds, and incomes are able to start up and grow businesses. Those areas are key to what we're trying to do, but it was very important, I believe, as we dealt with COVID, that we understood that the emergency of trying to help small businesses, minority businesses, was a critical role that we played in 2020. Our strategic priorities, again, assisting Franklin County's communities, preparing for job and population changes. Community's been growing just amazingly. I'm going to let Jenny talk about that in a couple more slides, but we want to make sure that we promote quality work opportunities for residents. We want to make certain that residents are more intentionally involved in our economic development efforts. We want to reduce the disparities and expand economic inclusion efforts. And then we want to create an environment which small businesses are able to start up and grow. Those all are solid strategic priorities that we are going to focus on in 2021. One of the major things that you challenged us with this year was affordable housing, and the idea that we were going to try and make a switch from being a straight economic development organization into one that would deal with affordable housing. We had such a great talent pool that this became a process that we were able to really work on and put together. Under the affordable housing framework, there are three core considerations that even in this hurried presentation, I want to make sure we talk about. We preserved the existing $17 million in affordable and emergency housing funding. $17 million. When we talk about affordable housing, that number needs to be in the community's mind because we're already doing that, and we're preserving that as we move forward. Expanding the tax incentives and zoning codes and updates to accommodate more affordable housing is a critical thing. And new funding for construction of new affordable housing units throughout the county has been a key priority and will continue to be. But the major accomplishment this year was the accomplishment associated with the Magnet Fund. We have made our first 4 awards this year, a program that was set up very quickly, but well done, certainly by Alex Barris and Josh Roth, who put their time and effort into this. But we are looking at a $4 million investment in county equity funding and an inducement. We don't need to go into the difficulties of funding a affordable housing project. You know what all those are. But I want to point out one thing here. We have an 11-to-1 leverage of county funding per total project investment as we move forward with this project. Additionally, the land trust was stood up this year to provide long-term affordable housing in this community. The Franklin County Infrastructure Bank, again, you know this program. I won't need to go into too much about it, but since the program began in 2015, the FCIB has made 8 loans to 7 municipalities for a variety of different things that include roadway construction, broadband infrastructure installation, and community enhancements for sewer and water as well. The tax abatement program, again, you know it well. Josh just recently presented our findings for this past year. Transparent process, one that we're very proud of, one that keeps on producing jobs and investment in our community. When we look at workforce development, we continue to assist employers that are looking for talent through our navigation services that Mr. Michael Salvador provides, and continuing to participate in the regional workforce development conversations. People Works Grant is continued to create jobs. We're happy to say that we have created at least 358. I say at least because I think it's probably changed a little bit, but 2 companies we've helped directly, Engineered Profiles and Fortuity. Jenny's going to take over here and lead you through some of the major projects that we've been engaged with. And this is really why I wanted to shorten my time, because you need to see the work that we have actually been doing When we talk about diversity and inclusion, these are the future places where we can see actual diversity and inclusion in the built environment. Jenny?
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Administration, and Office of Management and Budget staff. As you know, but for purposes of members of the public who are listening in today, my name is Jenny Snap. I'm the Assistant Director at Economic Development and Planning. I'm excited to be presenting today, along with my esteemed and talented colleagues, EDP's 2021 budget. Although it's been a challenging year, I'm proud to report that we continue to perform innovative, strategic, and cross-collaborative work that is aiding residents during this difficult time. One of the biggest goals to come out of the Economic Development Strategic Plan that Jim has already talked about was to flatten the organization. I can assure you that we have been very intentional over the last year in having all divisions of the organization participate in projects, regardless of whether the project may be economic development, community development, or planning, and vice versa. And as stated in the strategic plan, we are striving more diligently to involve residents in all of the activities of our agency. Therefore, in the next 3 slides, I will highlight 3 projects that are being led by our planning division, but the economic and community development divisions have also been intimately involved in. The first of these projects is the Leonard Park Redevelopment Plan, which includes economic development and planning, the Central Ohio Community Improvement Corporation, the Neighborhood Design Center, the Franklin County Engineer's Office, and Mifflin Township. We are actively engaging the residents of the Leonard Park area in Mifflin Township, which is northeast Franklin County at Interstate 670, bordered by Agler and Stelzer roads, in looking at revitalization, infill development, infrastructure planning, new park space, and affordable housing. We recognize that this older platted subdivision is ripe for development potential, given its geographic location in the Gahanna City School District, and therefore is a project that Franklin County should proactively lead. Ryan, if you can. Good. The next project example is the Food Business Portal launched by Economic Development and Planning as part of the Local Food Action Plan objectives. This web-based portal is now a resource hub in assisting local food businesses and growers connect with all sorts of information which will help them launch and grow their businesses. The portal was built in conjunction with the Franklin County Data Center and guided by a team of community stakeholders, business owners, and experts. And Commissioners, the portal has equity and inclusion as a major focus, where the Minority Business Assistance Center, Central Ohio African American Chamber of Commerce, the Community, Refugee, and Immigration Services, and the Greater Linden Business Network were all part of outreach and deliverables. The last long-range planning project led by Economic Development and Planning is the Urban Crest Community Plan. This 10-year focused plan looks at growth potential in planning, affordable housing, infrastructure investment, while building community partnerships and engaging the residents through 3 public meetings and 7 working committee sessions thus far. Like Leonard Park, this community plan partners with the Central Ohio Community Improvement Corporation, the Neighborhood Design Center, and the village itself.
We continue to support innovative career training, and this goes back to the strategic initiative to reduce disparities and expand economic inclusion efforts. So we have just on this particular slide 2 programs that I'll highlight for Scholars and Building Futures, as well as a recent partnership with the National Center for Urban Solutions. Commissioners, we pride ourselves on being able to turn over some stones and be able to find some things that other organizations may have overlooked. Our involvement in diversity and inclusion has only been highlighted by the work that county commissioners have included in their goals and their strategies. So we continue to work hard in this area, and obviously as time goes on, we will be working more closely with Keena Smith and her organization as how that begins to move forward as we go through time. So specifically, we were talk about supporting equity and inclusion efforts as part of our presentation. I want to highlight 2 of them for you. Digital inclusion. Our staff assisted the Columbus Metropolitan Library in holding technology drives. We partnered with ESC, Educational Services of Central Ohio, and the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission to establish the Central Ohio Broadband Access Pilot Program. You all know how important it is for low-income K through 12 children at this point in time to be doing work remotely, but not having the tools to do it with. We have tried to help solve that solution in this particular program. The Equity Alliance, EDP, has assisted this Office of Diversity and Equity Inclusion and is standing up, helping to help stand up, the COVID-19 Equity Fund, and worked strongly with that. We pledge ourselves to continuing to work and assist the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and the Equity Alliance as we move forward with a new CDFI. Again, organizations you all know, I'm going to highlight one on the last one. This is the last project we've done before actually making this presentation, but a project that was almost 2 years in the making, and that is establishing and helping and assisting the Columbus Fashion Alliance at the Columbus Idea Foundry. It's a fashion-based, industry-focused business development accelerator. A lot of words, but the point is that here is a case where we made a difference to try and take an idea that folks have had in the minority community here in Central Ohio and make it a reality, and we're very proud of that fact. These are organizations you know every one of them, and you know what they do. This particular budget this year is going to support those organizations in the way we traditionally have. And it's important because these are the foundation organizations that make our economy move. Community development is a pretty arduous discussion, but I will tell you again that we are responsive. We have been able to put money on the streets. We have been able to focus in on organizations that need help, specifically the Emergency Shelter Grant Program. And we have done that through a 5-year consolidated plan. And the last 5-year plan was submitted this year. We move in 5-year periods for the 20 to 24 period of time. And it's important to note here, although we were incredibly fearful of HUD allocations to the county in terms of their falling off dramatically, they haven't. But we've deployed that money in the best way possible through a collaborative and open and transparent process. Again, these are the programs that we funded with our $3.3 million. And you can see on this slide where that money has gone. Number of accomplishments that we can point to. Housing, again, being a focus of this particular presentation. We've worked on projects at Eastgate, in Grove City, in Whitehall. But the key thing is every one of these projects benefits workforce families or formerly homeless people or disabled individuals and seniors. We are making a difference in this area, and we need to continue that. We plan on doing that in 2021. Again, I think you can read these. What I will point out here is that we have assisted working through the Youth Homeless Prevention Board, helping receive a $3 million grant for funding. This is where the rubber hits the road in terms of our direct involvement. Mr. Mark Paxson would want me to tell you that we leverage $23.55 for every qualifying home dollar that we get, compared to the state average of $8.76 and a national average of $5.93. I'm going to let Jenny handle this one, but important, commissioners, I will say this, is that although we've had this issue, our planning work and our development work has not stopped, and I think she will point that out to you.
As the manager of planning, building, zoning, and GIS at Economic Development and Planning, I'm here today to give you an overview of all of these divisions of our office. Commissioners, the functions of our planning, zoning, and building staff are often seen as regulators, but I can assure you that the staff are engaging the public on a daily basis and improving the quality of life for all residents. Let me take a moment here to let you know that staff in these divisions have been present and out in the field during the COVID period. Our building and zoning inspectors are essential employees and are still actively assuring that residents' questions are being answered and needs are being met. To this, I am particularly proud of their dedication to every resident every day. None of our services and operations in these divisions have suffered or slackened during this time. Planning and zoning staff are facilitating community conversations to administer land use regulations that ensure the health, safety, and welfare of our communities, even during difficult issues that affect our residents, such as you've seen the Sheets development, where we championed your call to action to engage and facilitate. Our short-range planning process includes over 20 permitting, review, and enforcement processes, and we administer 5 of your commissioner boards and public meeting processes. You will see from this graph alone the steady increase over the years while we have maintained these processes even during this COVID period. And just a note that the graphs I'm outlining, the data is for the year to date, so only reflect through October 31st, 2020, and does not encompass the last 2 months of the year. In this slide, you will see that growth is clearly on target to match what we have seen in the previous year. Lot split applications and annexations, because you see me so often, will likely exceed 2019 numbers, and subdivision lots that have been created will likely be just below last year. As you can see from the pictures here, that a majority of residential development continues to be focused in the Jefferson Township area. Our certified building department continues to ensure compliance with the Ohio Residential Building Code for 1, 2, and 3 family residential units in all of the unincorporated townships of Franklin County, as well as 6 contracted villages, and includes a list of services that you see here. Most importantly, the building department ensures the safety of residents in Franklin County. I want to point out from the picture here are 2 new staff members, Josh Wareham, our new residential building official that was approved in last year's budget, and who is on the call today, and Jonathan Lee, our new GIS manager. These 2 staff members have been and will be an integral part of improving the customer service experiences to all of our residents, and as I promised during last year's budget presentation. Josh is a veteran that comes to us from Summit County, and Jonathan was a previous EDP employee that left us to lead Westerville's online permitting processes and now has come back. On this slide, commissioners, you will see the key indicators of growth that the building department has seen in the last several years. We have completed over 4,000 inspections to date and that have resulted in 2,600 permits issued in this year alone to date. Again, I want to reiterate that these numbers are reflective of the continued growth even during this pandemic period, where our inspectors are still in the field performing their duties to ensure safety of residents. There have been 120 new single-family homes built mostly in Jefferson Township and Minerva Park, to which you can see in the pictures of the Minerva Park development below. The money we are collecting in building permit receipts is still steady, and with an estimated $630,000 going back to the general fund by year's end, with an estimated cost of construction at approximately $90 million. I want to assure you that residents are still building and performing home improvement projects while spending more time at home during COVID. Last and not least, our GIS, or Geographic Information Systems division, has made huge strides in our online permitting and payment program, SmartGov. This system allows for residents to submit and pay for building permits online. If you look at the chart on this slide, you will see the increased growth from our first quarter of this year to date. Our online permit center has been an integral part in allowing residents to continue to engage our office from the safety of their own home or computer during this difficult year. This, commissioners, I believe, is customer service at its best. In conclusion, I come to you today a year after our budget request to support a new residential building official to assure you that EDP is indeed improving customer service processes. Josh Wareham is engaging residents and explaining very difficult material to them. which I hear while he's on the phone throughout the day. In addition, we are making incredible strides and improvement to our technology systems that support our building, planning, and zoning divisions, which ultimately help the customer, our residents. Through our two key hires of residential building official and GIS manager, we have already added online inspection scheduling and inspection requests that previously were only made by phone for an hour every morning. We are expanding the online submission and payment options from not only our building department, but to our other zoning and planning processes, such as zoning permits. I can pledge to you, along with Director Schimmer, that we are here working for you and our public.
Commissioners, as we've shown today, Franklin County and its Economic Development and Planning Department answered the call as COVID raged in our community and destroyed small businesses in our local economy, especially our most vulnerable sector, which really related to small business. We were directly engaged in trying to assist those small businesses with the things that they immediately need. And that really was cash payments and the ability to assist with PPE. It was very critically important. But in order to have an inclusive recovery, Franklin County is going to need to continue to reinvest in its workforce and local businesses who were really disproportionately impacted by this particular crisis. Our ultimate goal is to empower Franklin County residents to participate equitably and benefit from a post-COVID-19 economy. And it's important for me to say that there will be a post-COVID-19 economy, and we want to get out ahead of that trend. We will continue to work on diversity and inclusion items as it relates to economic development, because that's a critical issue that we should do all the time, no matter what. And we like to think that EDP has been doing that over the years. We can do it better. As we look forward aspirationally, we're looking at an economy which envisions clean energy, sustainable development as key components of our future as we dust ourselves off after this crisis and get back to work making this nation great and making Franklin County better. Thanks very much, appreciate it, and thank you to my staff for doing such a wonderful job putting this presentation together. We'll take any questions that you have. We have a number of staff on the phone or on this call today to be able to answer any specific questions that you might have in their areas of expertise.
There's a lot going on, and I know this year has been challenging in economic development and planning, but there's still so much that you've achieved. And I know this next year is going to be challenging as well. As you're looking to support the small and emerging businesses and do it as inclusive a way as possible, what do you see as the biggest need in terms of support for the newer small businesses in an inclusive economy? As we're starting to, once we get past this surge in COVID, and once we get beyond COVID, whenever that is, what do you think our small businesses are going to need?
Commissioner, it's very interesting. You know, the concept that it's always darkest before dawn. In some ways, that's been very true with our small businesses. But there's some good light at the end of the tunnel too, and I want to be positive about that. And what I specifically mean is that when we went into the COVID crisis, we weren't really sure who our small businesses were. We didn't really understand who they were. We didn't have good data, good information that Commissioner Boyce talks about who those people really were. Who are our small businesses? And we've been able to identify them now and understand them in a way that I think we didn't before the crisis started. When we look forward, what are we going to need to be able to try and do? Well, the truth of the matter is, and as blunt as I can be, is that we will need to work with the survivors. Some people did not make it through this crisis. Others have.
Right.
And so assisting them and then making a robust effort for new startup businesses will be critical to our moving forward and sort of backfilling those folks that may have gone out of business. But we're heading in the right direction because we know who our audience is now, and we have a better sense of what they need. There have been a number of outreach attempts to small businesses to ask, well, what do you need from us? How do we have that work? We didn't do all of those ourselves. The Chamber did, and Kina's group did, and the Urban League did, and a whole bunch of other places. But we asked the questions, and so that's going to inform where we go in the future.
Okay.
I'll just add that I always feel like your presentations I like the format of the way you all do your presentation, and I like the content, the way you structure it. I feel like, it's just really exactly what I'm looking for. And so I really don't have a lot of questions. I think that you are going to have a very tough challenge in 2021 because it's going to require a real thoughtful approach. And I personally think that all that we're planning for 2021, I think that we will all be in audible phase at some point, and we will be adjusting our plans. And I think economic development may be one of the most important ones for our recovery. But I think you're saying all the right things in terms of the focus of the small businesses and the creativity and economic development, and just I think your entire staff, you're generally a very open-minded organization, and so you take on challenges as they come, as good as any agency that I've seen. So I don't really have any questions. The only thing I maybe would plant the seed of again, this is probably directed at Administrator Wilson, just having the flexibility during 2021 to make some adjustments in economic development. And it might be finding more resources for them, because their work is one of the jobs that you see the return on the investment directly to our economy. And so it's just such an easy ROI. But I could imagine in 2021 us having a session and thinking about making some audibles. So, but otherwise, I really love the format of your presentation, and I think it's perfect. We really should have everybody kind of just do that kind of structure, and I think it would be helpful.
Commissioner Boyce, if I may just say in response, we did a lot of audible calling this year, so we've gotten a little bit better at it. And I'm really proud of the fact that the team has been flexible and creative, willing to work together to come up with sometimes divergent ideas and put our best foot forward. And then also say, hey, if this isn't working, let's pivot and do something else. So we're going to continue with that approach throughout 2021 because we know how critically important it is. So your point is very well taken, sir, and we're going to continue to act that way.
Thank you. Hey, one other thing, Deputy Administrator Janice and maybe Director Schimmer, in terms of Alex's replacement, are you in the interviewing process? Are you in the recruitment process? I know he was such an integral part of the team. Where are things with that position?
We are in the recruitment process. Sorry, Jim. I think the advertisement is due to end at the end of this week. So, and then we will be reviewing those and interviewing following that.
Do you have anything on social media that I could repost to for that position, maybe?
Sorry, it is on government jobs, and then we have it listed through Franklin County Human Resources, and then we also have it on a few professional development websites. And Jim, those are mostly economic development related, but Jim, if you want to list those.
Yeah, Commissioner Boyce, we sent the individual listing out to all of the commissioners as well, so your staff has a hard copy of that.
Right. But I guess I'm thinking of just some kind of postable social media thing that I could just cut and paste and put in there.
We will get that from you, Commissioner. And the other thing is in a position so critical like this. While we want to do a first batch of evaluations based on a posting deadline, we'll revisit the idea of making sure that we keep it open until we get the right person. So we'll be flexible on that as well.
Deputy Administrator, have you all posted in some of the minority newspapers at all as well? Have you been able to post that position in
I'm
maybe
not sure if we have. We should probably confirm where it has been posted with HR.
This is Sue Hamilton. It has been posted in all the minority magazines. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Sue. Thanks for your work too, as always. That's excellent to know. I'd still like a post. I'd like to put it out there on my social media if that's no problem.
We'll get that to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
we appreciate that. And we'll go one step further, Commissioner. We're happy to have ongoing dialogue with recommended prospective candidates. I've challenged the team to be proactive in seeking out good candidates and not just relying on a post response. And we've done that in the past with key positions in this department, and we're going to do it again.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, if that's it, thank you for everything. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the resolution this morning. I'd go to say on behalf of my entire staff, we enjoy working for such open-minded people. It's been fun, like it.
I agree.
Thank
Good
you.
team.